What happens when the world starts traveling more than ever before, but Las Vegas, the city that once never slept, suddenly feels quieter than usual? Walk down the Strip in 2025, and you won't hear the same endless roar of voices or see sidewalks bursting with crowds. The neon still shines, the casinos still glitter, yet something feels missing. Hotels are struggling to fill rooms, restaurants are cutting shifts, and analysts are whispering about numbers no one in Vegas wanted to believe. At the very same time, airports across Europe, Asia, Mexico, and even Canada are breaking records. Tourists are flooding beaches, mountain resorts, and city festivals like never before. The global travel boom is real, but only Las Vegas seems to be on the losing end of it. How can the world be traveling more, yet America's playground is falling behind? The answers aren't simple. They're buried in politics, in economics, and in the way the city itself has changed. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on a story much bigger than empty casinos. It's about why millions of travelers decided to go anywhere but Vegas. Stay with us, because what we've uncovered may change how you see global travel in 2025. The numbers behind the silence. Statistics don't always tell stories, but in this case, they scream louder than neon lights on the Vegas Strip. Since the start of 2025, Las Vegas has lost more than 2 million visitors compared to last year. On paper, that's a 7% decline, which may not sound catastrophic, but when you translate percentages into people, it's staggering that entire cities' worth of tourists are simply missing. Imagine if every resident of Houston or Chicago stopped showing up overnight. That's how deep the silence feels in Vegas. The month of June tells the most painful story. Traditionally, one of the busiest times, when summer travelers flood the casinos, the shows, and the pool parties, June 2025 recorded an 11% year-over-year decline. For Vegas, that is not just a slump. It's a canyon carved right through the heart of its economy. Streets once impossible to walk through without bumping into strangers are suddenly wide open. You can actually hear your own footsteps on the Strip, something longtime locals describe as eerie. Behind those missing numbers are human consequences. Every empty hotel room represents a housekeeper who might lose hours. Every quiet slot machine means a dealer or cocktail server struggling to make tips. Restaurants on and off the Strip are cutting shifts, with managers forced to send staff home early because tables stay empty. Analysts estimate that even a 1% dip in visitors puts thousands of jobs at risk. So when you multiply that by 7, the ripple effect reaches deep into neighborhoods, schools, and households that depend on tourism dollars to survive. And yet, here's the strange twist: Vegas isn't collapsing financially. Casino revenue, surprisingly, has held steady. Why? Because the smaller number of visitors who are still coming are spending more than ever before. They're being charged higher table minimums at blackjack, steeper nightly rates at hotels, and outrageous resort fees that tack on an extra $50 or more per night. Even meals are inflated, with basic buffets costing what once bought fine dining. On balance sheets, Vegas looks fine. But balance sheets don't show the empty sidewalks, the hollow echo inside half-filled theaters, or the frustration in the voices of workers whose hours are slashed. This dual reality, which brings healthy profits for corporations but an unhealthy atmosphere for people, is what makes the numbers so haunting. Tourists sense it too. They feel the emptiness. They notice the lack of energy that once made Vegas feel like it was pulsing 24/7. The laughter, the cheering at craps tables, the roar of a packed concert, it's all quieter now. The city feels like it's pretending everything is normal, but those missing millions are impossible to hide. To the outside world, the decline might look like just a dip in tourism, but for those who live and work here, the silence is personal. It means wondering whether rent will be paid, whether shifts will be cut again next week, whether the Vegas dream, the idea that this city always bounces back, is finally showing cracks. And that's why the numbers matter so much. They aren't just statistics. They're proof that something fundamental has shifted in the city that once defined excitement. Vegas has faced tough times before, but this time feels different. Because this isn't a global recession keeping people away. It isn't a pandemic shutting down flights. It's something else, something deeper. People are still traveling, but they're simply choosing not to come here. And that silence? It's louder than ever. Canada's vanishing visitors. If you want to understand just how fragile Vegas has become, start with Canada. For decades, Canadians have been the quiet but steady lifeline of Las Vegas tourism. They didn't just fly down for a quick weekend, they stayed longer than most Americans, booked multiple shows, dined in expensive restaurants, and spent hours at the tables. In a typical year, their spending funneled billions into the Vegas economy. For casinos, airlines, hotels, and even the smaller businesses tucked just off the Strip, Canadians weren't just visitors, they were the backbone. But in 2025, that dependable stream has started to dry up. Airline data paints a grim picture. Flights from Canada to Las Vegas are down significantly, and the total number of arrivals has collapsed by nearly 15%. Some months are so thin on demand that airlines quietly cancel entire routes. For a city built on tourism, losing Canadians isn't just a dent, it's a warning sign that the foundation is cracking. Why is this happening? A big part of the answer lies in the exchange rate. The Canadian dollar has weakened against the US dollar, and that single shift changes everything. A steak dinner on the Strip that costs $80 suddenly feels like 110 Canadian dollars to a Canadian family. A $300 hotel room quickly balloons past $400 once the conversion is made. Even slot machine minimums and blackjack tables feel heavier when every dollar spent in Vegas is almost doubled back home. And money isn't the only factor. Rising unemployment in Canada has forced families to tighten their budgets. Political tensions between Ottawa and Washington have only added to the discomfort. Travel, after all, isn't just about money, it's about feeling welcome. And in 2025, many Canadians don't feel that pull toward Vegas like they once did. For them, a weekend escape has turned into an impossible luxury. The shift is emotional as well as financial. Canadians still love Las Vegas. They talk about their memories of shows, concerts, and jackpots with nostalgia. Many would still like to return, but loyalty can't overcome math. Families are asking hard questions. Why spend thousands on a single Vegas weekend when the same amount could fund a week-long vacation somewhere closer, somewhere where the currency stretches further? Destinations within Canada itself are stepping up. Domestic tourism campaigns have encouraged Canadians to discover their own country, and many are listening. Cities like Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary are offering entertainment options that feel easier, cheaper, and more accessible. And for those who do want an international flavor, Mexico has become the new favorite, with affordable packages, shorter flights, and currency that doesn't punish them as harshly as the US dollar does. For Vegas, the impact is sharp. The absence of Canadian tourists isn't just about numbers, it's about the energy they brought. They were reliable, steady, and consistent, the type of visitors the city could count on, even when Americans pulled back. Now, with that stream thinning, Vegas is left exposed. The irony? The love hasn't gone away. The sparkle of the Strip, the thrill of the casinos, the pull of the shows, it's all still there in the Canadian imagination. But love doesn't pay for hotel rooms, and memories can't cover resort fees. For many Canadians, Vegas has shifted from being a regular tradition to a rare treat, something reserved for a once-in-a-decade splurge instead of a yearly getaway. That's the real danger for Las Vegas. Not that Canadians have turned against it, but that they've learned to live without it. The visa fee confusion. Numbers don't always scare tourists away, perceptions do. And in 2025, no single rumor has damaged Las Vegas tourism more than the so-called visa integrity fee. Officially, This $250 fee only applies to travelers from certain countries that already require visas to enter the United States. For most Europeans, Australians, and Canadians, the fee never touched them at all. But social media didn't care about details. The headline, "America charges tourists $250 to enter," spread faster than truth could ever catch up. Families in London, Paris, and Sydney scrolled through posts, read half-formed comments, and assumed the worst. Even though they were exempt, many quietly crossed Vegas off their travel lists. In the age of instant information, nuance is lost, and perception becomes reality. For parents planning family trips, that one viral headline was enough to turn a dream vacation into a financial nightmare before they even opened a booking site. Stories only made it worse. Travelers from parts of Asia and Africa posted online about being stuck in endless visa delays or being pulled aside at airports for extra questioning. Those stories, often retold and exaggerated, took on lives of their own. Soon, it wasn't just about the fee, it was about the feeling that the US had become unwelcoming, even hostile. Travelers worried about being treated unfairly, or about wasting hours in bureaucratic limbo before they could even start their holiday. For Las Vegas, this was a disaster it couldn't control. Immigration policy is set in Washington, but the Strip pays the price. When people abroad decide the United States is too complicated, Vegas loses hotel bookings, show audiences, and gaming tables filled with international players. A French couple who dreads visa confusion doesn't cancel America, they cancel Las Vegas, because it's easier to book Barcelona, Rome, or Dubai instead. The irony is that Vegas has no part in these rules. Casinos and resorts would happily welcome every guest with open arms if they could. But to a traveler making decisions from thousands of miles away, the distinction doesn't matter. Perception is all that counts, and in travel, perception can be more powerful than reality. If people believe it's too expensive, too stressful, or too risky, they will simply go somewhere else. This is where the confusion becomes especially damaging. While the actual fee impacts a limited group, the shadow it casts is global. It doesn't matter that Australians don't pay it, or that most Europeans still enjoy visa-free travel. What matters is that millions believe they might, and when doubt creeps into travel plans, cancellations follow. The broader effect is chilling. Vegas depends on its image as an easy, fun, glamorous escape, a place you can fly to on a whim, spend a few days, and fly back with stories. But in 2025, that image is being rewritten by rumors of costs, paperwork, and hassle. It only takes a few viral TikToks or tweets to flip excitement into hesitation. And hesitation is the enemy of tourism. So while casinos report steady profits and hotels raise rates, the long-term risk is clear. If the world begins to see the US as a fortress rather than a playground, cities like Vegas lose the magic that made them irresistible. And that's the true danger of the visa fee confusion, not the money itself, but the message it sends. Global travel boom elsewhere. If Las Vegas lost millions of visitors, those travelers didn't just vanish into thin air. They went somewhere, and the places they chose tell us everything about why Vegas is struggling in 2025. The story isn't that global tourism is collapsing. In fact, it's the opposite. Around the world, destinations are breaking records, filling hotels, and watching their airports burst at the seams. The problem isn't with travel itself. The problem is with Vegas. Take Canada, for example. While Canadians cut back on trips to the US, they didn't stop traveling altogether. Instead, they turned inward. Domestic tourism inside Canada is booming, with families heading to Banff, Niagara Falls, and Prince Edward Island in record numbers. For many households, a summer road trip within Canada feels safer, cheaper, and more patriotic than flying south and draining their wallets on US exchange rates. Provincial governments have leaned into this shift, launching stay local campaigns that make Canadians feel good about exploring their own backyard. Mexico tells a different but equally powerful story. Cancun, Tulum, and Mexico City have become magnets for international visitors. Airlines are adding new routes, hotels are expanding, and beaches are packed. Mexico has managed to brand itself as affordable luxury, sunshine, nightlife, culture, and food at prices that make Vegas look excessive. For North Americans who want fun and excitement without the perception of being gouged, Mexico has become the natural alternative. Europe, too, is thriving. The continent has long been blessed with short-haul flights that make weekend getaways cheap and easy. A family in Paris can hop to Barcelona for a fraction of the cost of a Vegas trip. Germans can fly to Prague, Italians to Greece, Brits to Portugal, all without crossing an ocean. In 2025, this advantage has only grown, with budget airlines cutting fares and tourism boards pushing deals. For European families, Vegas no longer feels like a dream worth chasing when adventure is just a 2-hour flight away. Asia paints a more complicated picture. Middle-class travelers in countries like India, Thailand, and Malaysia are staying closer to home. Rising costs, visa hurdles, and currency pressures have made long-haul trips to the US harder to justify. Instead, they're flocking to local hotspots like Bali, Singapore, and Tokyo. Meanwhile, the ultra-wealthy, the kind of gamblers Vegas has always catered to, still make their way to Nevada's casinos. But they're the exception, not the rule. The broad base of travelers is finding excitement and entertainment much closer and much cheaper. The bigger picture is striking. Global tourism isn't dying, it's exploding. Families are packing their bags, flights are full, and landmarks are crowded. The problem is that Las Vegas isn't part of that boom. Instead of benefiting from the surge, it's being left behind. For Vegas, this shift is a brutal reminder of its vulnerability. The city was built on the assumption that people would always come, that it was the default destination for fun, glamour, and gambling. However, by 2025, the world will have options. Travelers are realizing they don't need to cross the desert strip to find excitement. They can find it at a Mexican beach resort, a European city square, or an Asian island paradise. And that's the hard truth. Vegas isn't losing because people stop traveling. It's losing because people have discovered they no longer need it. Vegas's new strategy. The part most visitors don't see, Las Vegas isn't panicking. On the surface, the city may look quieter, emptier, and more fragile than ever. But behind the flashing billboards and polished casino floors, the corporations running the strip are not scrambling to win back every traveler they lost. In fact, their approach in 2025 is the exact opposite of desperation. Unlike the financial crash of 2008, when hotels rolled out bargain packages and slashed room rates just to keep the lights on, today's Vegas is playing a different game. This time, they're charging more. Hotels are piling on new resort fees, often hidden until checkout, turning a $200 stay into something much closer to $300. Food and drink prices are climbing, with cocktails that once cost $12 now stretching past $25. Even self-parking, which was free for decades, comes with a hefty bill. Casinos are raising table minimums, pushing casual players to the sidelines. The message is clear. Vegas in 2025 is less about welcoming the masses and more about squeezing maximum dollars from a smaller, wealthier pool of visitors. Why would they risk alienating the average traveler? The answer lies in the global reach of the corporations that control the Strip. The biggest names, MGM, Caesars, Wynn, and Sands, are no longer just Vegas giants. They are international empires, with billion-dollar resorts in Macau, Singapore, Dubai, and other booming destinations. Those properties, often located in regions where middle-class travel is exploding, bring in revenue streams that cushion Vegas's decline. To put it simply, Las Vegas may be iconic, but it's no longer the lifeline for these companies. This shift has profound consequences for travelers. The Vegas that once thrived on accessibility, on being a place where a middle-class family could enjoy a few nights of spectacle, is fading away. Instead, the city is positioning itself as a premium destination. High rollers, business travelers, and luxury seekers are the focus now. Families who once budgeted for a Vegas vacation find themselves priced out not because they don't want to come, but because every aspect of the trip feels designed to drain more money than it used to. For locals, this new strategy paints a darker picture. The workers who keep the city alive, dealers, housekeepers, servers, bartenders, depend on crowds. They depend on foot traffic, full tables, long lines, and packed showrooms. When corporations prioritize fewer but richer visitors, the flow of tips and shifts dries up. A blackjack table with 4 wealthy players spending thousands might look good on the casino's books, but it doesn't keep as many cocktail servers employed as 10 tables filled with casual gamblers. The result? Shorter shifts, thinner paychecks, and a growing sense among locals that the magic of Vegas is slipping away. There's also a cultural shift happening. The Vegas of the past thrived on excess, not just money, but people. The energy came from the crowds, the laughter, the chaos of tourists spilling into streets and nightclubs. In 2025, that buzz is fading. An emptier strip feels less alive, less electric, even if the hotels and casinos are technically profitable. The corporations may be satisfied, but the soul of Vegas was never in spreadsheets. It was in the spectacle created by millions of ordinary people chasing fun. This strategy may work for the short term. With overseas resorts booming and a loyal slice of wealthy travelers still flying in, the big companies can continue to post strong earnings. But it comes at a cost. By focusing on fewer visitors, Vegas risks losing its identity as a city for everyone. The danger is not just economic, it's emotional. Tourists who once returned year after year may decide the city no longer feels worth it. Locals may grow disillusioned as their opportunities shrink. And the very brand of Las Vegas, once synonymous with accessibility, excitement, and endless possibility, may slowly transform into something colder, more exclusive, and less magical. In the end, Vegas's new strategy reveals a paradox. The corporations aren't panicking, but the people who make the city run are. The balance sheets look strong, but the streets look empty. Vegas is surviving, yes, but the version of Vegas the world fell in love with may not survive with it. Las Vegas losing 2 million visitors might sound like just another statistic, but it's more than that. It's a reflection of how global travel has changed forever. Families who once saved all year for a Vegas trip are now discovering new favorites in Mexico, Europe, and even in their own countries. And while other destinations are breaking records, Vegas is redefining itself not as the playground for everyone, but as a luxury brand for those willing to pay more. The real question is, will those tourists ever come back? Or has the world finally realized that the glow of the Strip isn't the only light worth chasing? For travelers, this shift means choices. For Vegas, it means a future that may never look like its past. Now it's your turn. If you had $2,000 to spend this year, would you choose Vegas or join the millions exploring elsewhere? Drop your answer in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the truth behind Vegas's empty sidewalks, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest stories. Stay tuned because the next twist in global travel might surprise us all.